Hey folks, Jonathan here, back in the shop working, raining, so figured we'd go ahead and put this Nash head rustway back together so we can try to get it on there when the rain quits. Wanted to address the elephant in the room, which is what everybody had jumped on about what they said about this crack. Now, let me start by saying the breakout in here at the edge and in this one was casting flaws, I'm assuming, and this opening is actually way too big just to be a crack, and you can actually stick your fingernail in it. A crack on the head is going to be a fine line, unless, you know, if it's in the chamber and it's ran a while, it'll open up, it'll burn everything around it. But this is actually only goes, I know you won't be able to see it on the inside, but this is thin up until this area right here, and then it comes back. So inside of here, it's really thick, and it's really thick coming up to these chambers. So this crack headed straight, or opening headed straight, and stopped where it got thick at. So I have no worries about that right there. It's not going anywhere. It's, like I said, 8 out really too far to be a crack. You can definitely stick your fingernail in it. And I'm guessing that eventually this one's probably going to eat away a little bit, or maybe get worse. But that's not an issue at all. I wasn't worried about that from the start. I guess I should have explained it a little better, but you know, it's a thin area right there, and evidently it started out as a crack. Now, I could actually go in there and grind it a little bit and bring it around and put a radius so it don't go any farther, which in my opinion it's not going to anyway, because it gets so thick right there. Or you could go in here and drill a little tiny hole. I don't think it's necessary at all, and just because it gets so thick, you know, right past that wall. So this is as far as it's ever going to go. But like I said, I'm sure that started out as a casting flaw. It bumps in right here, just like this one bumps in right here. And not sure why or how they did it when they made it, but I can feel it up on the inside too, at the top. So anyway, no worries. You know, everybody's worried about that crack, but that's minor. Very, very minor something. Now, valve stem seals. We're going to use these umbrella seals. I think these are Big Block Chevrolet. They're for 3/8 valve stems. Don't matter what you use when it comes to, you know, brands, as long as it fits down over your guide, and these will work just fine. So we're going to get them on, and I found a valve spring to replace it with, and the bad one anyway. So we're going to go ahead and get this head back together so we can hopefully get it on there. And we've still got to do something about this stud being broken. I don't have any oxygen to heat this, and I know what's going to happen as soon as I try to take it out, it's going to break. So we might have another fix for that. Some people will agree with the fix and some people won't, but don't really matter. Alright. Okay folks, all the valves are in and springs on, we're good to go there. So now what I'm going to do is fix this stud. Now I put vice grips on it. I tried to turn it. It's down just a little bit small right here. It's just going to break if I do anything. And I don't have any oxygen, so I can't get enough heat on it to do much. And I don't like, you know, I'm afraid if I heat the cast too hot, turn it out, it's going to crack it. So we're going to fix this another way, and some of you won't agree with it, but a fix is a fix as long as it's fixed right. So we're going to cut it. We've got a bolt here, fine thread. We're going to cut the bolt. We're going to bring these to a point, and we're going to try to get it as straight as we can get it, and we're going to weld these together, get it good, grind it down. There'll be enough weld there. It won't cause any problems, won't have any issues, and we will just replace this, half of it anyway. And when we're done, hopefully it, you know, looks good. But not only that, the clamp fits on it good. I've got to clean these surfaces up really well, because that's where the pipe goes up against, and I don't think there's any kind of a gasket of any kind. So I've got a stainless pipe we're going to use, and or I plan to. We're going to see how it works out, if its diameter is good on it. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do now. Go ahead and cut this, grind it to a point, cut this, grind it to a point, and I've got nuts on it so we don't get any weld on it and mess the threads up, and then we're going to put it together and we're going to try to weld it all up and grind it and see how she works out. All right. Okay, I decided instead of fighting to try to get this thing straight, I just put a V-block on it. It's just an old one I've got, and clamped the V-block on that side. Now I put nozzle dip on the threads, so it shouldn't have anything stick on it, but this should get us started, and I think we can get some weld on it. Now if you're not confident in your welding, don't do this, but turn your heat up and burn it in good. That's the best advice I can give. And weld it all the way around and then grind it down. And you know, the force on this is going to be pulling straight out, so you should have absolutely no problem, you know, welding something like this and not having any issue with it. So that's what we're going to do real quick. And this one sticks out a little bit farther than this one, but this one sticks out farther than this one, so that's the right length. So, and fine thread. Alright, let's get at it. Alright, ready to grind. Like I said, turn the heat up, get it good and hot. Penetrate it real well. You won't have any issues. All right. Okay, this one's done. We got the clamps, and what I have run into is this bottom clamp actually had a bolt in it instead of a stud. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to make a stud for it. We'll cut this bolt and we'll thread it, coarse thread on this end, so we can screw it in, and that way we'll have studs all the way through. Here's our pipe. This is the exhaust pipe that originally come off of it. You see it's rusted completely out, but it's just got squares cut into it. I don't know if they used any kind of a gasket or anything. I'm going to clean the surface up really well on the head, and here's what we're going to use. This is stainless, same size pipe. It's just long enough to get us to where the turn starts. So we'll weld the cap up on the end, and then we'll cut our slots into it, and at least that shouldn't, you know, rust out like this one did. And then we'll be good to go with that. The radius is perfect. It fits right in there, so I don't think there's going to be an issue. I don't know, you know, hopefully it won't leak. I guess if we get the surface clean enough and this surface is good enough, it should, you know, seal up pretty good. And we'll just have to, you know, go with it and see. I don't know of any gaskets that it could have used. You know, I could probably make some copper gaskets. You know, just cut out pieces of copper and wrap around. But you know, we're going to try it without it and see what happens. And then, but we're going to go ahead and get this stud made. Like I said, I'll cut this off and then I'll just thread it coarse where it screws into the head, and we'll have the fine sticking out here. So let me get that done real quick and see if we can get this pipe cut and put together. Okay, we've got this stud made for the back, so we'll go ahead and get it in. Oh, I hope I made it long enough. Okay, that's screwed up. I made this one too short, and the reason I made it too short is because I made it like this one. This one's got a bump out on it. This one don't, so it's longer. So I've got to make this longer. So now we're going to make another trip back to the hardware store to get another bolt, cut it, and make it. Alright. Okay, that's a little better. Let's get her in there. Okay. Intake's on. Surface is all clean. Gasket's on, new gasket. Everything's cleaned up. It's ready to put some paint on it. So we're going to paint it, and then we'll get our exhaust on it, and then the next step will be to reassemble the engine anyway. Alright, show you more. Okay folks, we're done as far as we're going to go on the cylinder head. The exhaust is on. Kind of got in a hurry, so I didn't get a lot of video of everything, but cut the slots out, and let me see, welded the cap up on the end, and so we don't have to worry about any leaks coming out the back. And I really like the way this tightened down. It feels like it's, I mean, it's really good and sturdy, so I'm hoping and thinking that maybe we won't have any leaks, and we'll just have to see. I mean, that's just, you know, part of the deal. But, you know, we're not going to know for sure until we get some exhaust on it, but we'll probably start it just like that. I think what I'm going to do is run the, I'm going to clean the block out, but I'm still going to, when we start it, run the water hose in here and let it run out run through the block and run out on the ground. It'll keep it cool, but it'll also hopefully get them nuts out of it, because you know it's a mess inside the block too, I'm sure. So but everything's done when it comes to the head. Still got to clean the rockers up and you know, get the head bolts and stuff cleaned up and everything, but that's not a big issue, so we'll do that in the next video. I think I'm going to go ahead and take the top off the carburetor, and we're going to check it out and see how bad that's going to be to do something with. So anyway, alright, okay, so this was stuck and I did get it freed up. It's still pretty tight. You can see we got a lot of crap inside of it, but we've got it turning, so that's a good thing. We'll get it freed up and oiled up, but what we're going to do is go ahead and take the top off this thing. I want to see if it's even, there goes a spider, see if it's even worth, you know, messing with. Hopefully the float is not destroyed in it. We'll find out in a minute. Alright, let's see what happens here when we get the top off. Not as bad as I thought it could be. Nothing in the float, don't mean that it's not bad. We'll have to test it. Got some rust. And, you know, the good thing about it is, you know, it's been probably close to 50 years since this thing's been ran, but the gas 50 years ago wasn't near as bad as it is today. Accelerator pump's stuck tight. Let's see. Yeah, it's moving there. This has got a needle power valve, so it's definitely stuck. We'll get it all freed up and we should be able to run it on this carburetor, I would think. So anyway, I think we're going to leave it at that and we'll call it a night. And hopefully, if all goes well and it don't rain, next video will be running. So I had no plans to make this video this long, or make this series this long. You know, normally don't do that on first starts. Of course, I had to do a lot more work, but the main thing is to show people that don't know anything about the stuff, you know, how to do it, and you know, that might save another vehicle later, because it won't scare somebody away so much if they have to work on it. And that's, you know, my goal is to try to save this stuff, and enjoy doing it, and enjoy making the videos for it. And anyway, so we'll get this thing together and we'll see what happens. So alright, appreciate it. Bye.